Hey everybody. Today I'm looking forward to sharing the EMA motor by Edwin Gray. And so as I pull up some of these documents, I will begin by going through the drive for related documents, going online, pulling up relevant data there. I think you'll find this very interesting. So let me pull up the screen and you guys can see what we'll be looking at here. So this is the article I pulled from our cache of documents titled The Engine That Runs Itself. And so obviously that caught my attention. I believe this is written by Tom Bearden to John Bedini. This is 1973 and an unconventional approach to harnessing energy. You can see some of the news headlines right here that were happening at the time. Fuel shortage, smog-proofed autos choking on fumes, gasoline rationing. I mean, that's some pretty heavy stuff there. And so you start scrolling down and then they start talking about a company out of California, started by inventor Edwin Gray and his EMA or electromagnetic association motor. And so here you can see some similar terminology as we saw with Bedini, pulsed, where Bedini's motor had pulsed frequencies or energy that was sent to the battery. Now, thinking back to comments that I had received from, was it Garrett Modell about that? I think it's relevant pointing out now, and I'd like to pull up that email if I can find it. Might have to. I don't think that's it, is it? Yeah, this is it. So this is Garrett's response. And he said, incidentally, I looked into the Bedini generator and suspect what is happening is the electrical spike damages the battery that is being charged. The increase in its charge comes at the expense of using up the battery, i.e. the battery is fuel and there is not an over-unity effect. So that's an interesting perspective. And again, I'm not an electrical engineer or, electrodynamicist. And well, as you can see here, Garrett isn't either, right? He's not one, but it's a very interesting point, right? Recently, I've found some strong experimental evidence for that suspicion. And then he did finish by saying we have to be very careful in examining new energy technologies. And I agree with him, absolutely. So I want to point that out. This is from someone that's very deeply studying zero point energy out of UC Boulder and or no, CU Boulder. So going back to this article, it gives you a lot more information here. Again, I'll have a link to the incubator on this, but again, he says it's sort of like he describes his motor like similar to recreating lightning. And I can't tell you how many other times I have heard a similar description by other inventors describing what's happening in terms of harnessing energy. Gray saying most motors can be built. He says most of the motor's components can be built in a machine shop. And so this is another reason why I'm classifying this motor as a prototype candidate. It'd be very interesting to try to build one of these. So that said, I'm not going to go through the entire article with you guys. He goes into some more detailed information here. A little background information on the inventor. And then it looks like this scan already jumps into patent information, but not at the beginning of the patent. He just goes on to talking about components of the invention there, capacitor discharge. It's very interesting. And I did pull up this patent, I think. Let me see if I got it. 548. Or maybe not. Yeah, there it is. Oh. This was me just doing a little research. So I'll pull up that patent, 3890548. One second. Volts capacitor, very interesting. So I'll go ahead and download a fresh copy of this and include it on this post for you guys. Pulse capacitor discharge, Edwin Gray, Northridge. So going back to PDF document. This is a different one. No, that's the same one. Very interesting. This is an article, the future energy power light. That might be the same. Yeah, looks like the same motor. And this might be the same article again. Or other parts of the article that weren't included earlier. So anyways, this one seems very interesting to me. This is a better copy of the article down here. So I did a little research on this invention and the inventor. And I found this really cool video, which I'll post a link to this. But this, at the very end of this video, it tells you that there was an actual unit recovered. And this is where this is contact information for purchasing it. So I find that, I think this would be something I'd love to follow up on. And yeah, this guy posted it on YouTube. I'll have a link to this. But yeah, it's really neat. I watched the whole thing and he goes through an interesting little breakdown at the beginning, sort of explains kind of what's happening here. I'll play it real briefly for you guys.
This energy spike was produced by his circuitry and captured in a special device Mr. Gray called his conversion element switching tube. The non-shocking cold form of energy that came out of this conversion tube powered all of his demonstrations, appliances, and motors, as well as recharged his batteries. Mr. Gray referred to this process as splitting the positive. During the 1970s, based on this discovery, Mr. Gray developed an 80 horsepower electric automobile engine that kept its batteries charged continuously. Hundreds of people witnessed dozens of demonstrations that Mr. Gray gave in his laboratory. In 1973, Ed Gray burst onto the scene in Southern California with a radically advanced electric motor technology. His EMA motor could produce 80 horsepower from a set of 4 deep cycle batteries that the system recharged at the same time. The claims were outrageous, but were supported by much of the testing data. One set of early tests were sponsored by the Crosby Research Institute and conducted by Pan World Enterprises Limited. On the strength of these test results, Bing Crosby became one of Ed Gray's largest investors. So again, really, really cool little breakdown at the beginning there. So you do a search, you come up with websites like this, right? So this is one that seems to list information on other inventions that I found interesting. It's not a secure site. God knows how old this thing is, but there's data out there. This is interesting. Here's another site. Again, like I don't know who designed or built this thing and how it's maintained, but again, he's got some interesting information in here. It looks like it was updated in May. So I'll
I'll have a link to this as well. Um, you know, just super interesting, and I would love to get one of these in our lab here and start replicating. This is another link I found, but I'm not a huge fan of downloading anything from a site that I'm not too familiar with. So this is another link from the Rex research site. Again, I don't know who Rex is or what the deal is, but there seems to be a lot of data in there. It's just these sort of like kind of obscure sites, I think, that keeps a lot of this information in the shadows or considered laughable or a joke. And, you know, let's just prove it in this community and just put it out there and stop keeping everything so hidden and secret and obscure. And, you know, just, you know, it's kind of frustrating and sad to see it. This one has really got my attention because I like that this is from an inventor that actually worked on replicating. Oh, wait, this wasn't Edwin's invention. This is a different one, which I'll get on and I'll do in a later post. So forgive me for jumping into that. But anyways, so going back to this motor, this video, I do recommend you guys take a peek. The footage isn't great. As you can see, that's a footage of the inventor, but it's just not super good. But you can hear the audio well enough, you know. And as he tried to get traction with his invention, he just got shut down, and eventually he died under. I don't know. I think the guy here said it was under suspicious circumstances, and all of his devices were scattered around the country, or not much came of it. So so that's what I've got for now on this. I think it's, again, a very good candidate to research. I think next what I want to get into on our next post is going to be this one here, water, fuel of the future, a breakthrough. So I think this one will be very interesting to get into. And I think this provides detail on creating the device. So I'll probably really dive deep into this one because this one has more technical information on it. And yeah, I look forward to sharing this with you guys. Until then.